Welcome back to the MRAP, your favorite bi-weekly news wrap and talk show about life, the military, and everything in between.
What's up, teammates? Welcome to the back of the MRAP. I'm one of your hosts, Eric Pelletier, joined again with Sergeant Willis. And Sergeant Dostal's not with us today. She is out doing some kind of class. She wants to be a recruiter or something.
She's educating herself.
Educating herself on how to educate the civilian population on the benefits of joining the National Guard. But like I said, ending us at the last episode, I'm super stoked about this episode. We've got with us today a very special guest to me. We go back pretty far, and without further ado, I have Major Ben Nichols in the MRAP with us. He is currently you're down at the, let me get this right, 1st of the 157th Infantry Battalion Mountain.
That's close enough. That works for me.
Okay. I want to say mountain infantry. I want to say light mountain infantry. I want to say things like that. We talked about this before.
It's implied if you're mountain infantry, you're light infantry, so you're good there.
Okay. And you're working in operations.
Yes.
All right. What for the standard civilian listener, operations is like what?
It's the operations cell. It's the nucleus of the brain that makes training and missions happen.
Okay.
So, if you're in a corporation, that's where the COO, the chief operating officer, would meet with his team or her team and make things happen, basically. The brain of the operation for a large organization.
So without you being too modest, you're a mover and a shaker.
I wouldn't call myself a mover or a shaker, but I think that we have a lot of people that's kind of their role on the team. We're not exactly in my cell, if you will, or my section, doing the stuff that you see the guy in the movie or the poster do, but we get satisfaction out of knowing that if we're doing our jobs right, sitting behind computers, giving briefings and presentations and doing analysis and things like that, that we're enabling the guy or girl on the poster to do their job. Okay. So it's kind of the slept on piece of the puzzle that you don't always see. There's always that one scene in the movie where there's like a tactical operations center and there's somebody that comes in and yells, "All non-essential personnel, get out," or whatever. That's me. I'm probably the one getting out when the scarier guy comes in and yells at me.
That is the best explanation I think that I've ever heard about like that particular section, and I'm totally stealing that.
Please, by all means. I mean, that's a way of looking at it.
It's really great to see you. I'm glad you're here. Let's tell the listeners a little bit about yourself. Where are you from originally?
I am born and raised in Colorado.
Native?
Colorado
native.
Colorado native. Right. Born in Colorado Springs, but I represent Denver. Very hard. Capitol Hill. Park Hill, North Denver, East Hampton, lived in all those spots, and very proud of all those neighborhoods.
Got like a 52
I'm the Denver guy. Yeah. Oh yeah.
When did you move up to the Denver area?
I've been in Denver over 20 years now. So you're there somewhere that long. It's you kind of that's home to me. That'll even if I'm living somewhere else, I will be Denver.
How'd you land in the military? How does one become a major?
Become a major?
Like, well, let's back it up, right? Like, where'd you start? Why?
Just wanted to be like dear old dad. My father was a Vietnam vet. He was infantry. He was a Green Beret. He was a paratrooper. Later on, he became a helicopter pilot, dust off. So basically like the military version of Flight for Life. He had a lot of crazy stories, a lot of adventures. He had been mentioned in books. To me, he was like a real life Rambo. Like he embodied what the guy in the poster does. He had been decorated for valor numerous times and won a Purple Heart. I wanted to be him. I wanted to be just like him. And now here I am close to retirement. And, I would say that the apple fell far from the tree, but I spent a good portion of my career trying to emulate him. And I think that is what kept me in line challenging myself and trying to do the right things. And I have no regrets. You can't really be somebody else. You can follow in their footsteps, but that's what drew me to soldiering, being a soldier. And I have no regrets. I'm really glad that I did that.
Yeah, that's very cool. I knew part of that. I don't know if you did.
I didn't know, but I definitely I understand a lot of that mentality, right?
Well, I think yeah, we all have lineage here, right? We all understand that part of the tradition of it. That's
I think you said it best when, like, you can't be the other person, but you try and emulate, the good qualities as best as you can.
Well, and I think there's a point in time when, like, you really try and, like, maybe it might not even be like a parent. It could be like a sibling that you have like a competitive rivalry with.
Yeah.
And I think you actually think that you're going to meet or achieve what somebody else did, and you're just not always in the right time or place or conditions to do exactly what somebody else did. And so I think I hit a point where, I tried to emulate my dad. I tried to be a Ranger and tried to be a Green Beret, and not all of those things happened. But I'm looking back now as I get close to retirement. I'm pretty happy and proud with what I've done, and I don't look at it as any huge regrets. Like I aimed high, and I'm happy where I ended up. And I didn't put any I hit a point where I matured a little bit and didn't put any unrealistic expectations. But I think we should all have somebody that we strive to at least be like. And some people actually do surpass their own mentors or whoever they're looking up to, definitely. But just remember that, like, the role you can play best is yourself, But
I mean, obviously you've done a ton of stuff, right? Like, you just look at your uniform. For the people that don't know how to read a uniform, they'd probably call you general or something like that, right? But you're got what, Lickies, Chewies, CIBs, jump wings, things like that, deployed multiple times. That's way more than the average person, and I'm sure that your family is super proud of what you've accomplished, because not only have you accomplished things in the military, but you've educated yourself. You didn't just come out as an officer, like, boom, I'm out of the womb, out of basic training, I'm an officer. So you've got degrees. You're working on your master's, correct? Or are you done with that?
No, I finished that a couple years ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, right on. Yeah, so you got a master's degree, right? Like, you've got so much out of the opportunity of being a soldier to that, in translation, makes your family super proud. You've lived up to that, and in some places you might have even surpassed.
Yeah.
What kind of hobbies do you have? What do you do?
Okay. I used to be a big snowboarder. 20 plus years of destroying my body, doing the Army stuff, doing the soldier stuff, parachuting and infantry, carrying 100 pounds of stuff on your back. That's kind of taken that away to an extent. So now I'm kind of just the guy who goes up and then sits at the bottom of the mountain in the lodge and has a whiskey or something, and that does it for me. But I'm a big reader. I still like to live an active lifestyle. I run a lot, traveling. I want to live the Colorado life, like, to the fullest, without, I can't, ski or snowboard. But I like to get out. I like to hike trails. I like to run trails. I like to be in nature. I love exploring museums. I've had the opportunity to go to some Colorado ghost towns in the last couple of years. And if you've never done that before, definitely try that out. A side hobby for me is just exploring Colorado's craft beer culture. Yeah. We're originators in the game. We're not the only place that's known for it, because I know I can imagine other people from other places in the country listening to this and immediately going on the defensive. I'm from Portland. I'm from Milwaukee. The great places around the country that are known for it, but we're originators in that culture too, and it's known, and we've had something very special going on in this state for probably before I was even old enough to have a beer, with the craft beer scene and the creativity. And so Colorado's got over 400 breweries, and my goal is to visit each one at least once. And I've got about 200 more to go. So
where's your palate go? Are you an IPA? Are you a sour? Are you a stout?
So this is crazy, but like when I started getting into craft beer, it was about like the creativity. Like I'm thinking back to when I first turned 21 and like a Bud Light and a Corona was like awesome for me. Now that's not really, that's just kind of too normal now and too, I don't want to say basic, but like when I first got into the craft beer scene, I'm thinking, wow, people are making peanut butter and jelly sandwich flavored beer and sours, and my mind was blown. And then now that's more normalized to where my palate has changed, and now I'm turning into that.
You're like retro palate. I just want a lager.
Right. Well, no, like now, yeah, it's more like I want a very well done. I want a Mexican lager, or
yeah.
I never thought I would say this. I will never be the IPA snob that I've always like pointed fingers at and judged for being judgy. Yeah. But I'm starting to like IPAs, and I'm like, what happened to me?
I can't go there with you. An IPA to me is like it's like the man's macchiato. It's played out.
I get that, but like for me, it's like a regular IPA, no interest. A West Coast IPA, no interest. But if it's like a New England IPA or a double IPA, you can do so much with them to where if it's got more of a malty flavor than a hoppy flavor,
right? Yeah.
I can get down with that as something that like I can slow drink, and I'm one of them and I'm full. I'm not trying to have like 5 of them, Right.
You're not trying to rage out on IPAs, right? Yeah.
I definitely, I don't drink anymore, but when I did drink, I started out like Guinness was my like Bud Light.
Yeah.
Guinness was like, I was like, I won't drink anything with Guinness. And I was probably 17, 18 years old. I mean, 21 when that was happening.
21. He said 21.
I said 21. Just the young kid just drinking because it's drinking, right?
Yeah.
And I liked Guinness until I went to Cuba. I was in Guantanamo Bay for a year. When I came back, I just didn't like Guinness anymore.
Yeah.
It was so strange. It almost tasted like soy sauce to me. Yeah, I know. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. And that's when I was like, that's when I decided that I wanted to expand my palate and really go a lot more into the craft beers and check out what Colorado has to offer. So I did like IPAs for a long time.
So Colorado has a lot of breweries. Colorado has a lot of history. Colorado has a lot of things. Colorado has the origination of the 10th Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about some of that, right? Let's talk about the. Are you a Pando Commando? How do you become one of those?
Well, I think the
just ski trooper.
We go by the name Pando Commando too. I think we have an idea for some sort of initiative to kind of make that like a group within a group. Yeah. Kind of like an elite within an elite that you kind of like try out for more like for a rite of passage, but
gotcha.
Yeah,
kind of like Cav earning their spurs,
right?
Yeah.
So as it currently sits right now, our brigade and battalion aren't currently aligned with the 10th Mountain Division, but there's hope that we'll get that alignment again. Sure. So for the past 3 years up to earlier this year, my battalion wore the patch of the 10th Mountain Division, and we're very proud to do so, right. To be a part of that division.
And that was cool that when that happened, when that battalion patched in, if you will, there was a ceremony up at Camp Hale, correct?
We did a ceremony at Camp Hale where the original 10th Mountain Division stood up and trained in preparation to ship out to World War II to go fight the Nazis in the mountains.
Right. Yeah, that's that was that. I found that the history of that to be super cool. That when they were standing up that unit in World War II, there was a lot of East Coast college skiers that were brought in to be the technical advisors, to be the experts, the SMEs when it came to skiing, ice climbing, mountaineering in the winter, and things like that. And you find that there were so many of these guys that really just wanted to do that job. But they were all college educated, and there was only so many slots for officers. But these guys, they said, well, you could take a commission, but you'd have to go to another unit because all the officers are filled now, right? This isn't like World War II we're talking about here. This isn't current. And And these guys said, no, I really just want to stay with this unit. I want to hang out here because I love what I'm doing, and I'm willing to just be an enlisted person and not be an officer to continue doing stuff like that. I thought that was super cool when I read that. And then so these guys, World War II, they stand up this division. They train in the mountains in Colorado. They go off, they fight, and they come back, and they didn't want to let that go. That's part of their culture. It's part of who they were. So now we've got like amazing resorts throughout Colorado that I don't think people, for the most part, unless you go to like the museum or you visit Vail and you see the ski trooper statue and you realize the connection that these veterans of World War II are the guys that created basically what we enjoy now as recreation. Am I far off on that, or? No,
you're not. So, and you mentioned it just a minute ago, when they recruited for that division, the founder of the division said, I can take a mountaineer and turn them into a soldier a lot easier than I can take a soldier and make them a mountaineer. And that still holds true today because of the amount of technical and lifestyle things that you need to know. It takes half a life to accumulate the things that will keep you alive in those environments. And soldiering is not an easy thing to learn, as we all know and have seen and lived. But they had the right idea of doing it the other way around. We'll take these mountaineers and make them into soldiers, and we'll see what happens. And the experiment worked very well. They took these people who range from not just East Coast intellectuals, but coal miners and people who were on the ski patrol and things like that. See, there wasn't really a ski industry before World War II started. It was you were either an elite and a social elite, or you were very rural, and that was actually part of like life for you. There were no resorts, there was nothing like that. And so now you have on one end these intellectuals with a lot of acumen and a lot of education and a lot of gusto and drive who come back from the war, and they built this amazing brotherhood while going overseas and training and fighting the Nazis. They don't want to let it go, and they've developed tactics and things like that helped employ themselves in combat. But now the unit has been disbanded in 1945 and they come home. What are they going to do? How are they going to maintain that brotherhood, and how are they going to share what they've learned? Like the concept of the chairlift was invented by the 10th Mountain Division so they could get soldiers up a mountain to train and come back down quickly. Things like that. They have these things that haven't been patented. Why don't we try and share what we've learned with the civilian populace? And they did, and they built an industry across the country. Right. But it really started right here in Colorado.
Yeah, it's so much came out of World War II if you think about it. The other thing, when you mentioned that about like them patenting and creating chairlift and stuff like that, they want to come home. They want to keep that community, and they want to. There's something that happens when you spend that time with somebody in a combat zone, right? Like, I mean, you and I have been there.
You'll be my brother for life, man, because like there's just things a type of brotherhood I have with other friends, and I'm not saying one's better, but they're different. Like I can't have the same type of brotherhood with friends that I haven't been in combat with. That's real.
No, yeah, you I don't know. You just hit me with like so much emotion right now. Like,
sorry.
No, we're good. No, like you get that connection that you just can't let go of, and you're talking about these ski troopers from World War II, and I'm in my mind, I'm also kind of correlating it to motorcycles introduced in World War II, and these guys come back and they still want to ride their motorcycles, and now you get that explosion of the motorcycle culture, which is still alive today. But like, there's so much with the 10th Mountain in Colorado. I mean, you see it on our license plates. You see it in, what's it? Is it Never Summer? Did they do a special edition? Who did the 10th Mountain editions?
I think it might have been Never Summer, but I've seen them before. If you do like a Google image search online, you can see 10th Mountain skis and snowboards, which is super cool just to see that, in modern culture.
So, okay. So you dig it. You dig it.
Oh, yeah.
Being like crossover into, whiskey.
Yeah.
Things like that. Have you had 10th Mountain whiskey?
I went to the 10th Mountain Distillery in Vail with my girlfriend, and we had an amazing time. It's like this little intimate setting with a fire and 10th Mountain relics hanging on the wall, but you feel like you're in like a ski lodge or something, like, you know, back in the olden days or something. And they make a great product. And I showed them my coin, and they like wouldn't it. You know, I could pay no money there, you know, and so I came out with a bunch of swag, and I can't wait to go back. But just to know that like my unit has that heritage, and we have something like that, you know,
Right.
it is cool, you know.
It's cool to know that like it's not just like a name of a distillery to them. Like there's obviously, you know, they attach it to you, because I was going to ask you if you let them know like that you were involved with it and how they reacted to that. And it's nice to see that instead of just being like, okay, cool, like it actually meant something to them.
Oh, they told me that they're like the commanding generals all come down. They make a pilgrimage to Colorado just because they want to drink at the place that chose to make whiskey named after the organization, like the force that they are a part of, you know. So yeah, not everybody gets that. And so, you know, if you're in one of those few types of organizations that is so celebrated, you want to definitely take part in it.
Absolutely.
But they definitely loved it. They said we get people in all the time, and we just get really giddy when like a 10th Mountain vet, old or new, comes in to spend some time with us here at the distillery. You know, I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Put you on the spot real quick. Favorite item branded with 10th Mountain?
Well, we already mentioned it, the whiskey, but you and I were kind of talking before. Oh yeah, it's you know, it's not the best whiskey, it's not the worst whiskey, but it's got the name of my unit on it that went to go fight the Nazis in the mountains in World War II, and it's pretty tasty, and that's good enough for me. So I've always got a bottle on hand of the bourbon. The whiskey's good too, but I've had Aspen Brewing Company's, I believe it was 10th Mountain IPA.
Yeah, I'm just hearing about this. Right, we were talking about this before we started recording.
I think they still make it.
I gotta go find it.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in that. I think it's not branded 10th Mountain, but when they throw the Epic Pass out, and Vale's like, "Hey, Joe, $130 for a season," that's my favorite thing that they've got going on.
Nobody's
for sure.
beating that price.
No,
There's
not at all.
For an Epic Pass.
Nobody beats a Deal and Doug deal.
Yeah.
Right?
When I learned how much the actual, like, not, like, what everyone else pays for the Epic Pass versus what I was like, no way.
Yes, yeah.
That's ridiculous. So cool.
They don't brand any gear or anything, but or at least that people wear within regulation. But I'm wondering, you mentioned before, it's a lot easier to take a mountaineer and make him a soldier, and it holds true to today. And we have that culture here in Colorado. It's a very outdoors culture. It's almost like, you know, we are the X Games. Sorry, Utah, but you're not.
Cosign.
And when we get these individuals that are joining and they bring that experience and then they come to the unit, do you hear a lot of people going, man, this gear it's like, everybody in the military knows, you know, we're probably going for like lowest bidder.
Right.
And do you get a lot of people that or do you hear a lot of complaining of, can I just use my own personal gear? Because I've got expert gear and this stuff is not working. Like, does that exist or not?
It does. It does, because we were an infantry battalion that then became a mountain battalion, and it just happened to be we're in Colorado and we're National Guardsmen, and a lot of us are skiers, hikers, climbers, you name it, outdoor, whatever. And we had a lot amongst our ranks. We also had a lot of people in our ranks that they joined the Army, but the most exciting thing they had done outside of that was play Call of Duty. And so this was a rough wake-up call for them.
Right.
But at that point, we're molding them to the unit. But when a large core of our people in the unit are actually, that's who they are, that kind of helped us expedite it and build the culture. And so with that comes some critique of the equipment, but luckily because of the kind of special nature of our mission, like we're not a special operations unit, but because we perform a special job, we have a little extra leeway. Outside of special forces, we're the only unit you're going to see in the Army wearing civilian hiking boots on a range at wherever we're at, as long as we're on rough terrain. And there's, you know, we have the commander's memorandum in our pocket, you know, so if somebody wants to from another unit sees something they don't like, we can explain to them, hey, they're mountain soldiers in training, back off, But with that also comes some mountaineer preference for certain types of equipment. Nobody's going to really judge. I mean, we have national level competitors for various skiing and mountaineering type events within our ranks. People aren't going to really challenge them if they have their own gear to an extent, but then it gets into a point of safety. Like, okay, if we're climbing, we're pretty much using our Army issue ropes, which are excellent ropes, and our mountaineering kits. Some people might have a harness or something, but it's an approved civilian harness where we know the specs on that. But so there's a little mix in that too. But we've actually been pretty lucky with some of our equipment, and we've had the opportunity to go meet with civilian vendors and go to trade shows and talk directly to the vendor. We've done that with like our skis and things like that. So like our skis aren't the best in the world, but we have to buy them in bulk, and they're good enough to do the trick, considering a lot of our skiers are novice. Right. Somebody brings their own skis because they're a world-class skier and they're white and they're tactical looking. Yep. Nobody's going to say anything.
Yeah. He's talking about the skis.
Yeah, the skis are right.
So, ski or snowboard? What do you do?
Okay, so I am even though I don't do it anymore because of all the damage I've done to my body over the years, I'm a shredder for life. I'm a goofy foot.
Yeah.
Grew up a skier originally though, and I will never be as good of a snowboarder as I was a skier as a child. It just, when you're young, it comes naturally.
You charge.
And then I picked up snowboarding when I was like 19 or something like that, and did it for like 15 years and enjoyed it, but just never really mastered the toe end turn.
See, that's wild, because I'm a flip of that.
Yeah.
I grew up on the East Coast. Not skiing and snowboarding is completely different out here. You're not just riding an ice rink downhill.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
As a snowboarder, and then I don't know if I ever told you this one, but so Heather came up to me one day.
Uh-huh.
She said, I want to take a ski lesson. And I was like, that's awesome. I'm going to grab my snowboard. I'll come with you. And she said, no, I want to do this together. And I was like, okay. Like when you're a kid, you take one or two runs on skis, and that's where they start you off. Especially when I was a kid, like snowboarding was, you were juvenile if you were delinquent,
right?
Yeah. So yeah, she's like, I want to go and take a ski lesson. And I was like, okay, I'll do this with you. Let's go. And then I didn't realize how like the shape and the camber and like twin tip and all this other stuff. So I was like, I'm burnt out on snowboarding. I want to totally see what's up with skiing.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, I'm like center mounting, like 179s, and I'm riding switch, going backwards faster than I'm going forwards and things like that. I'm a flip, right? I'm the opposite of you. I still ski. I don't like throw down like I used to.
Yeah.
I left an ACL on a mountain.
No.
So, I gotta take care of myself.
I pretty much have done snowboarding the whole time.
I'm outnumbered.
Yeah. So
we're talking about like ski troopers and ski units, right. And I'm outnumbered, but go for it.
So I started when I was, I was really young, like 5 or 6, I think, the first time I hopped on a snowboard. But I had a blast, and the first time I was snowboarding, I got kicked off the bunny slope because I was going too fast. And about that point in time,
you're going way too fast.
The idea of like carving and slaloming, like that wasn't an idea. It was straight down.
As long as you weren't a 35-year-old man when this happened, I think.
Yeah, right. I guess I was like 6 or 7, maybe. I don't remember.
Just straight lining.
Yeah. As I got older, I became a little bit more aware and respectful as a boarder. I tried skiing. I think I was 15, 16. I was in high school and I tried skiing and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I did not like the idea of my feet being mounted to 2 separate things that could go off in separate directions. And then every part of my body was like, you should not be facing directly down this mountain. You should be turned sideways, and stopping facing sideways versus stopping, if If you stop on your heels, you're facing on the mountain. Toe side, you're facing off. Everything was wrong to the point where like I would be going like I like terrain park. That's what I've always done. It's huge for me.
All right, so you're a park guy.
Yeah.
That was going to be my next question. Start thinking about that one.
I tried it on the skis, and literally in midair,
Park and pipe in skis. Okay, well, I'll let you go.
So midair again, first time I'm on these skis. Midair, go off a jump, and I turned sideways because I was like I should land sideways. Subconsciously hit the ground and boom, just
you got to pull that around and at least drop switch.
Yeah, no, I literally
that means to come in.
I hit the ground sideways, and I didn't injure myself, but it was a hard hit. It took a moment for me on that one.
Okay, so you board and your park or park and pipe?
I have never attempted. Okay, that's not true. I've attempted pipe, and it went terribly.
Okay, that would be a half pipe also for our civilian.
Yeah.
Most of our civilian listeners actually know what's going on. So now I'm talking to the military people who don't ski or snowboard. Pipe is short for half pipe. I'm not asking him if he indulges in Colorado's Amendment 64.
No.
Okay, so you tried hitting the half pipe once.
I basically
and you ate it. Yard sale.
I could figure it out. I'm sure I could. But when the problem
I understand the concept, just my body doesn't follow in suit.
So I probably could have got it that day, except that the one time that I've ever tried it was at Copper Mountain, and it was
right. You went
packed.
Big. Yeah.
There were so many people, and I wasn't willing to wait again to try. At that point in time, I was just like, whatever. I'm just gonna continue to board for the rest of the day and not stand around and wait to board. So that was my one attempt at the half pipe. I prefer like Keystone or Monarch on a little bit smaller mountains and hitting the like Keystone has a.
Don't get too
I
far
grew
into
up
the
on
mountains.
Monarch. That was my jam.
Monarch was good, and Keystone has a good natural terrain park.
So let's throw this back over to Major Nichols. Sergeant Willis is a park and terrain sounding guy. Are you a powder hound, backcountry guy, just a groomer? Where did you ride?
Just a guy going down the slopes. To summarize the duality of my mountain sports career lifetime outside of the Army. At 10, I was able to, I was doing double diamonds, and my snowboarding career culminated in. So basically, the last time I went snowboarding was just one of those weird days where the powder was really, really jacked, like to where somebody at my skill level on a board, I wasn't really meshing with what was going down. So I was falling a lot, and I was like sinking in the snow, having panic attacks. And the culminating moment of my snowboarding career was two dudes on the chairlift telling me to go back to Texas. And I lost it. Like, am I wearing jeans and hunting camo on slopes here? Like, I tell other people to go back to Texas, and I was like, all right, I'm retired.
Yeah.
So for people outside of Colorado listening, part of the culture is the healthy banter we have with some of our guests from neighboring states.
And Texas.
Maybe.
Maybe not even neighboring, like California.
And their idea of culture on the slopes versus like kind of the locals, and
you can get
hilarity
thrown
that
off.
ensues.
You can get thrown off really easily because I've seen some of the like Burton, some of those designs actually have like a denim looking pattern on like a ski jacket or a snowboard jacket. So
I'm pretty sure that comes from mocking the whole skis and jeans vibe, or like Gaper Day or stuff like that, where once again, that's like if you don't know what that is, that's like across the state. Like it's a day where the locals basically clown on the guests from certain states that like dress a certain way on the slopes. And so like you'll see like the local kids wearing like hot pink bodysuits and like very like 80s like tight fitting like hairband stuff, or they'll wear jeans and a cowboy hat. And if you don't know what that is and you're on the slopes, you're like, who are these people? And it's like, actually they're making fun of you, Yeah.
I could see Bowers, Sergeant Major Bowers, wearing jeans while skiing.
But like on purpose?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I could picture that.
Yeah. So I'm definitely into Colorado powder. the powder snow. Like I said before, growing up on the East Coast, and it's like a traffic jam on a slanted ice rink, and it's not as much fun. And then the first, we moved out here in 2008. And the first time I really hit a powder day, I didn't even have the right skis with me. I'm not like a one ski guy. I've got a quiver of, what am I riding today?
Yeah.
Am I riding my lines, or am I riding like some K2 Seth Morrison's, whatever it is. And I brought the wrong ski with me, but I loved it. It was just so deep, and it was so soft, and I felt like I couldn't get hurt until I actually tore my ACL. But there's something about riding around in deep snow, and you don't necessarily truck through it, right? You're not ripping through it and going super fast, but just the flow of it and the feel of it, and just the experience of it. It was just so foreign to me, and it was so awesome at the same time, that I was like, oh, I'm hooked. This is like my first season out here. I logged 60 days and was like, this is why I came here. I moved to Colorado to ski and drink beer.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
And
amongst other things, but yeah.
Right.
Part of the culture.
Oh, and then when they tell me like, oh, hey doc, we need some medics down at the infantry, I was like, yeah, cool. Oh, I get a discounted ski pass. I'm back.
Glad to know the real reason why you were there.
I'm back. I'm back in the game. Oh yeah. Oh, I tell that.
I'm just here for the ski pass.
I'm just here for the ski pass, guys. Don't hurt yourself, or I have to put you back together. Okay, so let's go bigger. We know what everybody's equipment is. We know what you like to ride. Where do you like to ride? What's your favorite resort in Colorado? I'm gonna start back over with Major Nichols, because you just gritted your teeth at me.
I don't think I have one. I like I said, I lived closer to Monarch, so that was like the shortest drive.
Right.
I enjoyed it, but people don't really think of that one. People think of like, okay, what's off I-70, or like farther out, like Wolf Creek or something like that. I've had my best days and the most fun at Vail, Copper Mountain. I've had an amazing time at Breck, but Breck is just like a victim of its own success, because it's beautiful, it's cool, there's a lot of stuff to do, and it gets packed, and it attracts so many people that you don't want to be on the mountain with, unfortunately. If I could just get a vacuum cleaner and suck everybody off the hilltop and just have it to myself, like that would probably be one of my favorites. But I would say Vail and Copper for me.
So Monarch, claim to fame, they do not make snow there, correct? There are no snow guns, I think.
I haven't been there since like 2002, and I want to say I remember they were making snow, but I might be totally wrong. That might be skewed memory.
I used to, when I was on the Western Slope, and I would drive back over here. I drove right past Monarch every single time on Highway 50, and I feel like I remember seeing the machines.
Okay, I could be wrong.
I'm
I'll look it up.
sure,
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Don't come after me, Monarch. I'm gonna look it up. Sergeant Willis.
So
where do you ride?
I grew up going to Loveland and Breck, and I agree with you about Breck. I love the area, but it is very crowded, and it didn't.
It's very
used
broy.
to
It's like the bro mountain, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. And that's not me. I don't have that mentality, so I struggle getting along with a lot of people there. Loveland was almost empty every single time that I went there growing up, and it's slowly, now I almost never go to Loveland.
Yeah.
It's kind of a boring mountain to me now, to be honest. Monarch and Keystone are my two big ones. I definitely like those. Like I said, Keystone mainly because I learned that they have like a all natural like wood terrain park, which was really cool. Hurts just as much when you crash though. So, and then I don't like Copper almost at all. Too much. It's too many people.
Yeah.
And
I think at one point we said, "What do you like?"
Copper kind of falls in the category of like Mammoth out in California for me, because it's more about the touristy aspect of it than the actual mountain. See,
that's how I feel Breck is starting to become too, though. Unfortunately.
Well, I'm gonna have to disagree with what you said before. I love Loveland.
Yeah.
I do. I love the fact that I could be there in like 45 minutes. It's not bought out by big corporation. It's very, if you remember, what was that movie, Out Cold? It's very Papa Muntz like.
Ski Patrol, Ski Academy. What? That one. Oh.
It's a very local, right? It's a community thing. It kind of reminds me of like being in the military. It's a community of I hope the people that I ride with there don't take this wrong, but it's a community of misfits, and we get together and we love it together, right? And the bar is just this little old like wooden bar with a fireplace. Every once in a while they'll have like a bluegrass band there.
That's cool.
And what you were talking about before with like getting a vacuum and just like getting the run to yourself. There's been days where I'll come down, like off the ridge, and you could stop like halfway down and just sit there for a little while, and nobody's passing you for like a good 5 minutes. You don't run into anybody, and you're like, this is my run, it's my day. And
you don't get that very often anywhere in the state, so that's huge.
So that was my first mountain girlfriend, right? That was my first love.
You're selling it. You're making me want to go back.
But I'd say close second is Winter Park. I'm for one reason or another, I guess I'm on the east side of the divide. I like to go up to Winter Park, and it's probably because I like to stop and get barbecue while I'm up in Winter Park.
Never been. Always wanted to go. That's like the one I never got to. And that people talked about that like it was Shangri-La, and I never got to experience it like on
We'll
the
go
mountain.
up. We'll go up and we'll go slay that mountain like old men. We'll just
I'll have to sit on the snowboard, but yeah.
Okay. So that's what we ride. That's where we ride and the terrain we like to ride. When you're done riding, what do you like to drink? Could be coffee, could be Gatorade.
It's gonna be beer or whiskey, but like a nice like a red ale or one of those safe IPAs. It's got to be something darker. I'm not having a Mexican lager after like coming off the slopes. It just doesn't, not a summertime beer.
Yeah,
but like a nice porter. A Java porter or something like that. That's like if you're just saying my ideal day. If there's something waiting for me at the bottom, maybe a nice Java porter. How about that?
Right on.
I definitely, back when I drank, it was the whiskey. It was like a smokier, like Tin Cup was one that I liked.
Oh, they're good.
Tin Cup was good. Now, I actually haven't been. Since I stopped drinking, I just have to imagine I'd go classic, like either coffee or hot chocolate.
Yeah. I'm just gonna keep being a Colorado homer, and I'm just gonna keep plugging all the locals. I gotta go. So Tommy Knocker makes a Pine Bow, Tommy Knocker Brewery out of Idaho Springs, and it's like they actually just take the branches off the pine trees up in the mountains and use that into the brewery. Producer totally just confirmed and showed me Monarch Mountain relies solely on snowfall.
Okay.
Whoa, respect. Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's a cool attraction to that.
We were name dropping before, so I have to name drop. I didn't know we were name dropping, so I have to say I would want a coffee cream extra from Comrade.
There you go.
Or a red con from Comrade waiting for me at the bottom of the mountain. So I have to plug in which is my neighborhood brewery, by the way, and Great American Beer Festival's #1 brewery in the nation. So got to rep the neighborhood. Yeah,
nice.
So,
let's wrap it back to that was cool. That was awesome to talk about all this stuff. Let's bring it back over to the 10th Mountain one last time, or more specifically the first of the 157th here in Colorado. How do I get involved, right? Like if I'm just your average listener and I'm thinking that sounds pretty cool. That's what I do, right?
Yeah.
I'm a mountaineer. I'm a skier. Yeah. I do the same things as these guys, right? I like to have a beer, or I'm just super proud of Colorado and the great things that it's produced and continues to produce. I want to be part of this community. I want to be involved. You you don't have to be an infantryman to be in
Right.
the infantry battalion. There's support. Like I
We
was,
have
I was a medic,
medics, we
right?
have signal, we have, oh yeah. Well, like we mentioned earlier, talking about the original intent of the training intent of building the 10th Mountain Division, we want to make mountaineers into soldiers, not the other way around. We've proven now that we can do both because we're not the clock's not ticking and the Nazis aren't waiting for us to go up into the Italian Alps and kick their butts. So we got a little time, but the idea is to show the world or show the country that we do this. Like there is a place where you as Mr. or Mrs. Mountaineer or skier, or kayaker or hiker, you can join and do what you love to do. We've talked to so many people over the years who say like, I have a passion for this is who I am, this is what I do. I would join the military, but I would like to do what I love to do while in. Well, for people in that group, now you can. And we happen to do it here in the Colorado National Guard in our infantry battalion. So we are light infantry soldiers who train to do the dirty work, to go and meet the enemy face to face and fight them on the battlefield. But we bring to the table something that no other organization in the U.S. military inventory, Army or Marines on active duty, can say they do. And that's we train for mountaineering and skiing and surviving and fighting in the mountains. So really, it's just a matter of, I'd almost hand the mic to you guys in recruiting, but get a hold of your recruiter, tell him what you want to do, tell him, I love the mountains, I love this culture. We really look at the battalion as like, ever since we had that reintegration into the 10th Mountain Division and being just humbled by meeting those veterans and being, overshadowed by our own state's history with that division, our battalion has been like a celebration of just all things Colorado, which was the original intent. We're proud of our home. We're proud of where we're from. And for those of us who moved here from somewhere else, well, welcome. Now you're part of the Colorado family. We ski, we hike, we climb. Not everybody drinks, but when we do, but the ones who do, they're hoisting, Colorado craft brews, the best in the world. It's just a celebration of everything that is Colorado, and not just Colorado, the Rocky Mountains as a whole.
For sure.
And so that's like something that we feel when we're at work every day, when we look at our left sleeve, and look at the mountain logo on our left sleeve or the 10th Mountain patch. And that's what brings us in and keeps us there and continues the brotherhood and sisterhood that we have, and not everybody gets to have that. And so we know that there's something special going on, and that's why we're apart and that's why we stay,
That's, I'm amped.
Yeah, right.
I'm stoked as hell.
How do I get
from that?
Yeah, you need to come over. We need a medic like you over there.
I'll come back down. So I just want to throw this out there, right? This is only our third episode. But we had a conversation about 9 years ago, myself and Major Nichols, and there was actually a couple of us on headsets in the back of an MRAP.
Gerard was there.
Yep.
He was a part. I know where this is going.
I think Infantry was in a couple times.
He was in and out. Yeah, he was involved.
I think Foisey was up on the gun.
Maybe he was. Yeah, I think he was kind of grumpy up there in the turret.
He was always grumpy.
I don't think he was an active participant, really.
But we joked about having an MRAP morning show, is what it was, right? I don't think podcasts were really taken off then. We didn't. No, we kind of.
Yeah, podcasts were around, and I think we used the term podcast, but we're like, would it be called M-rap or like MRAP rap, or something?
So here we are, right? Like 9 years later, the conception is real, and
I never would have thought that a decade later, because it was like.
Look at you talking to.
In the back of the MRAP, you got the headphones on, and when you talk, you sound like a public radio reporter. Like, it just makes your voice turn into you're listening to NPR News. I'm Sergeant First Class Pelletier, and we would walk straight from the chow hall with our coffee still, just to have one for the road after having a hearty breakfast, and we'd be in the back with our coffee, and it started out like a coffee talk type of thing, like the old SNL skit or whatever, but with the voices, and then it just turned into a what's the topic today? What's the agenda for MRAP?
About the socks.
And we got at first it was just like a couple of us, and next thing you know, the whole MRAP's going along with it. Besides, guy in the turret because he's being grumpy, but everybody else is like into it now. And then it's like, well, what are we going to talk about? We can talk about it at the breakfast table, but it's not the same if we're not in the MRAP with the headphones on, with our voices amplified like a radio person and a coffee in our hand. And like we did the thing that like somebody's like, oh wow, we're so interesting, we should have our own podcast. No, you shouldn't. Don't do that. But some people do, and it actually works out because actually maybe it is interesting. And here we are a decade later, and this is weird. This is still weird to me.
Right.
It's nice for me to know the history of the thing that I'm an active participant in, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I didn't clue you in on any of that.
No, this is new information.
I was like, hey, guys, I got an idea, and we're running with it.
Yeah. I like to think that I was involved with the birthing process here, but apparently not.
Well,
you're the execution. You're an enabler for the execution, that made it a reality. So,
and I thoroughly enjoy it. So,
I don't know where we're going next week, or next episode. I can only imagine that it will be just as fun as this, but inside for me, I was really looking forward to this episode, and I'm really glad that you decided to throw yourself out and come on the show. And we made it through without swearing.
Yeah, that's always important.
Yeah.
Oh, is this like the first?
Mark that up. It's like Bill Cosby himself. I think he only swore once.
But I didn't even know he had it. He could even do that. Wow. But I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If you listen to like local sports radio, one of the radio shows always does they have a guy on, like they'll have some big NFL star or something, and he gets off, and they're like, would you consider him a friend of the show? Like,
right.
Is he a friend of the show?
Are you asking for friend status?
So like, am I? Do I get to be like coined a friend of the show, or do you have to kind of be in circulation a little bit longer?
Like the outside,
me, Mike Ditka, and me, friends of the show.
You're outside
from the outside of this going on here. I'd say absolutely.
Yeah,
because you were at the conception, right? Like you're a little bit more involved than everyone else that we're gonna bring.
One of the mothers of the MRAP.
I was just thinking like weeks ago, I want to be a friend of somebody's show, or and then you texted me and you're like, it's real, dude. And so I'm like, this is my only chance probably. I don't think I'm ever gonna be on another podcast again.
You're in. You are a friend.
I don't think I'm getting invited to be on My Favorite Murder or something.
We're gonna bring you back again.
Joe Rogan.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely appreciate it if you came back. You're very knowledgeable and it's great to learn about other things from other people.
He's only a major, bro. He can't promote you.
Yeah, when you guys run out of stuff and you need like the emergency guy, you know where to find me. Yeah,
you are. We're gonna put
the
you
cubicle
back,
to the left, right up on the
put you
second
back
floor.
in the glass and put the little hammer back.
Yeah,
break glass in case of emergency. It's been killer having you with us. I really, really cannot say enough how much I enjoyed this.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad you guys are doing something like this.
Yeah. And if any of our listeners out there want to, again, be a part of our community, reach out to us. If you want to join the Mountain Infantry, you want to be part of the history, part of the lineage that is still living today here in Colorado, not only just infantry, but for support, things like medics, mechanics, hit us up. Let us know. Like usual, leave us a 5-star rating, or you're just a true blue Falcon. Subscribe to the podcast, share it with your friends, leave us a review, hit us up with some questions. Is there somebody you want us to bring on the show, to interview, to talk about jumping out of airplanes or things like that? Let me know. We'll bring them on.
Even if you have someone specific in mind, let us know. I'm willing to ask anyone.
Yeah.
You may say no, but we'll ask.
We'll ask.
Yeah.
Right? It's better to ask for forgiveness than beg for permission. Is that what it is?
Sure.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us in the back of the MRAP. And, sir, thank you for joining us. I guess at this point, we're going to let Major Nichols enter back into the 36 Chambers of Operations.
Wu-Tang.
And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
for tuning in to this episode of the MRAP. Join the conversation on our social media channels, and we'll see you in the next episode.